Hometown Ghost Stories contains serious and often distressing events and is not intended for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Tonight on Hometown Ghost Stories, we are calling a little bit of an audible. We are doing a haunted headlines like we've never done before. We are not doing 2 haunted headlines, not 4. We might get all the way up to 10 haunted headlines today. So join myself, Dave. It looks like Jesse's here, and we're also joined by Scare You to Sleep's Shelby. Let's do this now. We are here, and Jesse has thrown me off by being here. It was very unexpected for you to be here. You're sick, sir. You are rallying to join everyone. I am your host tonight, Rob Coakley, joined as always by Jesse Wilkins.
Almost not as always, but yeah, I made it. I figured I'm either going to sit on my couch and watch this, and I might as well just hop in and give my 2 cents. But I'll let Shelby take the reins here on this episode. I'll just sit here and try to think of something funny to say every once in a while.
Great, which you've never done in the show history, so that'll be hard for you to do. Dave is also here.
What? I'm going to try to be funny too, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh man, it's going to be a rough show
all the time. This is crazy.
And the one person that is going to be funny tonight and be informative is our guest, Shelby from Scare You to Sleep.
That's a lot of pressure to say that I'm going to be funny tonight.
You just have to be funnier than those two, which is not pressure. It's very easy to do. Very easy to do. Shelby, you've done haunted headlines with us in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, several times. In fact, I was thinking about it before I came on. It's like every time I've moved, I've come onto your show. So like my backgrounds keep changing. And it's like you have like a little history of places I've lived on this show, weirdly.
That's how we are going to document it for you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Every time you move, we will do a show with Shelby.
So where are you now? Are you still out west?
Yes, I'm in LA. I was near the Hearst fire, so just dealing with the smoky fallout of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
We're glad you're okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That is good.
I mean, I could be a ghost. That'd be really good for your show. So
that would be excellent. Can you actually just be?
I promise. If I will come back as a ghost, I promise for the show.
Perfect.
You better get your first interview.
Before we get into the show, just a couple of things. If you are part of the Discord, you know that we are giving a Furby with long legs away. Shelby will show you these at the end of the show. So in order to do that, you have to be using the bingo card. Our moderators will check that. Also, we're going to bump up our t-shirt giveaway for the reviews. And the way you can do that is leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple. We are 6 reviews away right now from getting a t-shirt giveaway on Apple. So make sure you head over there, do that. The way you can show that you've entered is to email us or to show us in the giveaway section of the Discord. But without further ado, guys, are we ready to get into some haunted headlines?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's
so ready.
So this first one is from 1916 in Elkhart, Indiana. We're going to start a little spooky. And this one is titled Haunted House to be Razed. None will live in famous rectory in the state of Indiana. Elkhart, Indiana, July 22nd. The haunted rectory of Elkhart is to be razed. This building, the property of St. John's Episcopal Church, is in good condition, but has been unused for years. The strange stories told by many persons who have stayed all night in it have frightened all occupants away. Now, although they do not admit it is haunted, the vestrymen have decided to tear it down. That's a word I just learned.
Yeah. I don't know what it means.
Nobody knows. The last occupant was the Reverend W.W. Dopp and wife, Mrs. Dopp.
I thought you were about to just rattle off a website.
Yeah, W.W. Dopp and his wife, W.W. Mrs. Dopp, was driven almost to nervous prostration by the stalking of the alleged ghost. So severely shaken was her nervous system that the belief that a ghost really haunted the house became general and no one would occupy it. Many persons have entered the rectory to remain all night within its bare walls and proved to the populace that the ghost theory was foolish. Some have remained all night and said they heard nothing. Others have come out of the house shaken with fright, declaring they heard strange noises, that electric lights were turned off and on, and that bedclothes mysteriously disappeared.
That's
Spiritual,
the bedclothes randomly disappearing.
yeah, just bedclothes just taken off, you know. A spiritualistic medium was once prevailed on to enter the rectory. The next morning, she announced that the ghost was the spirit of a young girl who had unalived herself in the house while her father was rector. Many old residents recalled the suicide, and the belief in the ghost grew stronger. Do you like how I try to make that YouTube friendly, and then I just
Yeah,
botched it
I noticed
immediately
that.
after?
That was something for the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Workmen will examine the walls carefully when they tear the building down to find out if any peculiar. Oh my God, this is gonna be one of those words.
I stumble over that one all the time. It's like
there's too many syllables.
Yeah.
If anything peculiar in the construction of the building could have caused strange noises at night.
I love how you just breezed over it as if you pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, you know, we just keep it.
If anything, blah blah blah.
Close
We got to go
enough.
forward. This is live television, and we got to get to our other 9 stories. But a bit of a terrifying one to start off with, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, you said peculiar is a lot of syllables. Can you tell us how many syllables it is exactly?
Peculiarity is 6 syllables. So that's how many syllables it is, Dave.
Very good.
Are you happy now that that's happened? Are you happy?
Yes, thank you.
So as terrifying as this story is, it is, again, this is a story from back in, God, when was the year on this one? 1916. What's sad is this has been gone for over 100 years now, and this is a place that we will never be able to explore.
I was thinking that when they said they had to specify that electric lights were flickering, like they had to make sure to be like, it was those newfangled electric lights, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird when an electric light flickers. It's not weird when a candle light flickers.
That is true. They're like, don't worry, the gas light lamps, they flicker all the time. We get that. But the electric lights, that's when you got a problem.
Well,
distinction.
But we also see the consistency, right? This is something that we still attribute to haunting activity.
True. That is interesting that was like so old and they're like doing the same thing or seeing the same evidence, you know?
Yeah. So very spooky one to start with. Spooky to try to say the word peculiarity.
See, I can't do it either. It's a hard one.
Yeah. What's even more scary than ghosts? Because this house, we believe, might be a little bit haunted, right? So my son, my oldest, he like sleepwalks a little bit, and like he'll ramble on about absolutely nothing, and that's what I just went and dealt with. I hear him like calling down the stairs. I'm like, what's up, buddy? He's like, I just need you to get the book that matches these. He's like, the book that matches these pajama pants with the dinosaur on it. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And then, like, after like 30 seconds, he'll start to like pick up on the fact that he's speaking complete nonsense. Like, oh, never mind. And just go back. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's sleepwalking, but I don't know. It's just like midnight ramblings of absolute nonsense.
Midnight ramblings.
All right. So this next story is from Springfield, Ohio in the year 1919. And I did a lot of research on this one after I read it to try to find more info. And I could not find anything else. And you'll see why I looked for more after I read this story. So it is titled, Must Wait Century Before Burial Service. Man's will make strange request for self and granddaughter. What are we laughing at?
There's the 2 possible ways to read that one of which makes absolutely no sense and the other makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, Manswell. my man's will make a strange request. What do you want me to say?
I thought you were starting to say.
28 years are yet to elapse before the bodies of Morris Bell and that of his granddaughter, Jane Peeling, which now repose in iron caskets in a vault in the Greenmount Cemetery at Springfield, Ohio, will be put in graves if the wish of Bell is carried out. Due to the breaking of pieces of glass in the caskets, city manager O.E. Carr recently ordered the vault door boarded up so that visitors might not enter the vault while the bodies are exposed to the outside air. For years, the vault has been a mecca for curious persons who visit Springfield.
Oh man, I would have been there in a second. They were
Yeah.
just like in a glass, like just decomposing. That's science.
That is science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is quite some time after they had passed away. So this is 1919. You'll hear the years of when they passed away in this next part.
Honestly, the poor people who like bring these, like if you're bringing like family members, like, oh, let's go visit grandma's grave, and you bring your kids, and what if you didn't know that these were there? And you're like, oh, what's this? Oh, those are rotting corpses from 28 years ago.
Just you're screaming from your children who have like, you think they're just going to play somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, they found the corpses.
They found the corpses.
Superintendent Louis E. Staley of Greenmount Cemetery has been kept busy the last 6 weeks, showing the hundreds of curious and awestruck visitors the coffined remains of two people who have been in their graves of iron for nearly 100 years. In a vault, which is easily accessible, a rickety wooden door being without trouble easily unlocked and opened, lie the remains of Morris Bell and his granddaughter Jane Peeling, both lying in iron coffins placed upon stone supports, 4 feet from the floor. The coffins are airtight, the lids being soldered on instead of being fastened with screws. A thick glass in each coffin allows a view of the face, neck, and breast. Long before the city was incorporated, Morris Bell was mayor of the settlement. He was born in Greene County, and Bellbrook, the summer resort near Xena, is named in his honor. He was rich and eccentric, and his dying request was that his remains should be placed in a vault. That upon Jane Peeling's death, her remains were to be placed beside his in the vault, and that they were to be left there for 100 years, and then both were to be buried side by side. Bell died in 1847, and his granddaughter, aged 12, a few years later.
So that's weird that he was like, I want my body displayed and my granddaughter's body
Yeah, I
displayed.
thought that too.
Like,
That's very specific. Like not my kids, not my whoever was around, just that particular granddaughter.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's obviously the grandfather. He has no idea when she's going to die. She just happened to die at like age 15 or something like that, but she could have lived to be 100.
She was 12,
I
and
know, I
my
feel like
theory
he
is she was sick.
Cursed her. Oh,
So
could be.
if he had this request, I think maybe they knew she was going to die, because
That
otherwise
makes
it's really weird.
Yeah,
It's still a
Yeah.
little weird.
it's still a little bit
I
weird.
think we can all
But
agree that it's still pretty weird, yeah.
I mean, they even thought so. They did call him eccentric. So they
Yeah.
even back then they were like, "This is weird."
Yeah,
So-
but it's if you're eccentric, then you could say, I would like to be on display. And then whatever she wants is fine. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder if
Just
anyone
seems
ever
weird.
asked her. She was like old enough to like, I don't know, understand, I think, but who knows?
Who knows?
The old days.
Yeah,
I know, right?
and so I looked up because I wanted to see if they were eventually buried.
Yeah.
So I looked up the names of both of them and tried to find burial plots, and I couldn't find it. I even went to that, like, you can search that particular cemetery and see names, and I could not find either of their names in that cemetery. Now, maybe records aren't updated properly or something like that, but all I could find really about these two was this newspaper article from 1919, and they had already been dead for over 60 years at this point.
Dang.
So
That's even darker though. Just okay, your kids wander off, you hear screaming. Not only do they see like a dead body, but one of them's a child. Like,
Mm, yeah, it's
Mm.
just that could be disturbing.
yeah.
I would guess that since the deal was he wanted to be on display for 100 years, they probably buried him in 1947, right?
you would think so. And that's what I was trying to find. I thought they would, because you would think that they would make a deal of it. At least it'd be in the newspaper. Like, body of 100 years buried after sitting next to his granddaughter. Yeah,
I wonder what condition they were in. I know it had been a long time, but like, I wonder if they were very well embalmed, if they were not. Like,
yeah, I feel like that's something that embalming is something that they've had down for hundreds of years.
Yeah, exactly.
So probably
we're gonna get into a fun embalming story in a little bit. So
I love a fun embalming story.
Yeah, we're gonna. Jesse looks like he's been embalmed recently, so
I could go for an embalming right about now.
All right, do we want to get into our next story?
Yeah.
This is the ghost of a coal miner from 1923. So, well drillers scared by ghost of dead mate. Billings, Montana. Losing of tools is a familiar cause for stopping oil well drilling, but at the Murray rig at Lake Basin, the drilling has ceased because the crew lost their nerve after seeing 4 nights in succession the ghost of a mate who was killed by a fall from the derrick 2 months ago. 4 nights, the specter of Bill Culbertson has returned to the derrick and has stood on the exact spot of the beams from which he fell. Thursday morning, most of the workers hurried into Billings and resigned their jobs. Others remained to see whether Culbertson's ghost would come back a 5th time before deciding to quit or stay. Roy Foley, who was employed on the rig, told the story immediately after his resignation Thursday morning to Art Wismeyer, local representative of the well. He said 5 men of the crew were sitting on the planks leading from the rig to the engine room Sunday night. They were singing songs when Culbertson's apparition appeared on the derrick. Probably like the Yin Yang Twins or something, I'm guessing, is what they were singing.
Most likely.
So they were singing songs when Culbertson's apparition appeared on the derrick about halfway to the top and left the 5 men speechless and songless.
Songless. Oh.
That's a bad day.
Imagine not being able to talk, but only being able to sing.
No, they're songless as well.
I saw a ghost. just had to sing the whole encounter.
That's tough.
Monday night at about the same time it returned. Tuesday it did the same. So that is
that the end of the article?
That is the end of the article, just leaving you there hanging.
Okay, I just wanted to point out Papa Squatch in the chat. I was born a coal miner's haunter. That like killed me. That's so good.
It's a good one. Yeah, this is a crazy story. It has people quitting their job because they keep seeing this ghost.
I mean, that's a toxic work environment, you know? Enough's enough. There's no HR back then, especially in that field. You know,
it's literally a toxic work environment, though.
Literally. It's like, you know, I work in this field. This is my job. Every day sucks. And then the ghost is just a bridge too far. That's it. You know, I get it.
For sure. This is, I wonder if being in a mine can play tricks on your mind, like being in the desert, like mirages and whatnot, or if you could suffer from group hysteria just from being in a
group
place
hysteria,
like that.
The toxic fumes, like
also that
ghost.
Yeah,
you know?
But they're all seeing it.
Yeah, but if they're all seeing
they are all seeing it, and there are a lot of stories like this I've read from history of people who work in mines seeing ghosts like around and everything. So I don't know. It's like something about the energy, something about the crystals in the earth. There's probably something. I don't know.
Probably.
It's true. All right, let's get into our next story. This one's a little different. This is actually not paranormal at all. This is a medical study from 1905.
Oh no.
So I feel as though all, you know, this is especially for you, Dave.
Real quick. I'm gonna bow out before I collapse, and I will talk to you guys later.
Okay.
We made our appearance. That's okay. Good luck, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. All right, cool. That's it.
So this one is especially for you, Dave. I think that this really fits in to your life more than anyone's else that's currently on camera.
Okay.
So This is titled, this is from 1905, and this is titled No Good After 40. Dr. Osler says men at 60 should be retired or chloroformed.
Wait, chloroformed to death?
That's what I am assuming.
It's a lot of
Baltimore,
chloroform.
February 23rd. In his farewell address at the anniversary exercises of Johns Hopkins University, Dr. William Osler, who is about to become head of the medical school of Oxford University,
Oh no.
declared that nothing in the world is accomplished by a man more than 40 years old, and that men of 60 years should be retired or chloroformed.
Rob, real quick. True or false? You turn 40 the day after tomorrow.
That is true, but I agree with this article at the moment. I'll reassess. I'll reassess in about 28 hours or so. We'll make some decisions then. But yeah, that's I'm with Dr. Osler at the moment. American medical colleges are, he declared, teaching hybrid systems of medicine and producing ignorant practitioners in Europe is far ahead of the United States in medical universities. Quote, my idea is to the comparative uselessness of men above 40 years of age, end quote, he said. May some shocking, and yet the world's history bears out the statement. It is difficult to name a great and far-reaching contest of the mind, which has not been given to the world by a man on whose back the situation was still shining. The effective, moving, vitalizing work of the world is done between the ages of 25 and 40. Those 15 golden years of plenty, the anabolic or constructive period in which there is always a balance in the mental bank and the credit is still good. End quote.
This guy should relax.
Right? This feels like daddy issues or something. Like, why are you so mad at men over 40? What happened?
How
And
old is he?
how old is he?
That's what
Like,
I
he's a
wanna know.
doctor. Like,
Yeah.
he can't be 25.
Right.
I mean, then again, I don't know how much schooling they did back then. So,
Well, he's about, not only is he a doctor, he's about to be the head of Oxford University.
Oxford University, like, he's got to be close to 40, right? Like, is this maybe this is self-hatred thing? Like, what the fuck?
Just whipping himself every night. Do you think that on his birthday, he's sitting there in front of a birthday cake with a birthday hat on and he just chloroforms himself? Right when he turns 60, right when that clock strikes midnight?
Oh my God. I can
Well-
see that. Yeah. You know, this was for his farewell address. Do you think he got like kind of wasted? Like they were having like a dinner? Like he's like, I have something to say.
I've been thinking about this for a long time.
This is 1905, though. I feel like 40 in 1905 and 40 in 2024 or 2025, whatever year it is, not the same thing. I do feel like
Still.
I feel like 40 is the new 30.
Yeah, well, 60 was clearly the new 120 for this guy, and he thought that's when it should end. All right, let's talk about another ghost, and this one is all the way from Ireland. It's kind of ties, well, it doesn't tie in, but it's sort of reminiscent of the one we just read. But this one is titled Ghost Scared Railwaymen. A ghost story told by some railwaymen is at present a live topic in the town of Strabane, County Tyrone, Ireland. I know that none of that is probably pronounced properly, but we're going to roll with it. And you leave your comments and address them to Dave.
Thank you.
The head constable has taken down the statements of those who claim to have seen the apparition. John Pinkerton, an engine cleaner, describing the first visit of the ghost, says that it appeared in the cleaning shed, knocking loudly at the door. It gave unearthly yells. Armed with a crowbar, a signalman made a dash at the spirit, but could not strike it down. On the second night, 7 men saw the ghost. It appeared again another night and disappeared through a window. The form was that of a man of stout build. It ran under an engine, in front of it, behind it, and everywhere.
And everywhere.
And
What are you going to
everywhere.
do to a ghost with a crowbar?
Nothing.
Take a few swipes at it, you know. You gotta.
Right.
At least they tried to do something. Like most people are just like, man, we saw that ghost on the Derrick 5 nights in a row. I'm quitting and moving away.
he took my song away. I couldn't sing anymore.
We were trying to sing. We were trying to be the first Boys to Men. We were trying to be Boys One Men, and it just didn't work out. So.
I just love the visual of a crazy Irish guy chasing a ghost with a crowbar.
Right? This one's interesting too, because I didn't hear what year you said it was, and I can't remember what year the story came out, but the famous Dickens story, The Signalman, that has to do with like signalman seeing a ghost and freaking out, and he eventually dies. Spoiler alert. But
wow.
Yeah. I wonder if Dickens was inspired by this.
Well, this sounds Dickens is before. I'm guessing the Dickens story is before, because this is 1914.
Oh,
Dickens
then yeah,
would be
definitely
before, yeah.
before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless Dickens himself is a ghost and he didn't chloroform himself and wrote a book.
Or the ghost was inspired. As he died, he was like, you know what? I know the perfect place to haunt after my favorite story. Mm-hmm.
He thought it was the perfect place, then he got chased by a drunk Irish guy with a crowbar.
Right.
It sounded better in my head.
I mean, I just like that someone took some action. It was just like, hey, we are gonna try this, and get through it. All right. Do we want to talk about an embalming?
We do.
Yes.
Because I feel like we're gonna have a lot to say about this story, because it
Good.
is very, very wild. So this is a sort of a two-parter. I have it's a continued article, so I'll have 2 pages to read through. A girl's body turns to stone.
Oh.
And this is from 1900. The face, well preserved. House where the body was found at one time occupied by Thomas Holmes, a noted embalmer. New York, November 2nd, 1900, remember. Workmen who were cleaning the cellar of the house at number 269 South 9th Street, Williamsburg, yesterday, came across the well-preserved body of a girl, apparently about 12 years old, which had the appearance of having been turned into stone. The lower limbs were missing, and the appearance of the body indicated that it must have been there many years. Getting wild, right? Getting creepy?
Yes.
The remarkable discovery created a great sensation in the neighborhood, and there was talk of foul play until it was learned that the house was formerly the home of the late Thomas Holmes, a noted embalmer who embalmed the body of President Lincoln.
What? Oh,
Okay.
dang.
A lot to unpack just in that sentence.
I don't know.
I mean, I was kind of wondering about like noted embalmer. I was like, you don't really hear that, but now I get it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be noted if you embalmed President Lincoln.
Yeah.
But does that absolutely absolve somebody of the potential
what I was gonna
murder?
Yeah, it doesn't make him not a weirdo.
It's in his basement.
Why?
You could take it into consideration. Like, okay, maybe it was a side project or something.
A side project.
But I don't think that completely absolves him of the potential of a crime.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he embalmed President Lincoln. He must be, fine. It's like, dude, we saw the guy from Key West who
exactly. That's who I was thinking of, is the guy from Key West. I can never remember his name, but that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Holmes has been dead a little more than a year and a half. Why did it take him so long to clean up this guy's house if he's been dead a year and a half? So
Maybe
this continues.
Things get complicated in probate.
Yes.
That is true.
Give me 1 second, because I am dumb and I pulled up the wrong second page. Here we go. The body of the girl was removed to the Clymer Street police station. It was remarkable. God, once I mess a word up, I can't say it for like 24 hours. It's a defect in my settings. It was well preserved.
We'll wait.
The features were all there, and the face was the face of a person just dead. Time had caused other portions of the body to crumble. The discovery of the body would seem to prove that the assertion often made by the aged embalmer that he had invented a process by which he could preserve a body for many years was true. Tom Holmes, or Dr. Holmes, as he preferred to be called, was one of the most familiar characters in the Eastern District for the last 40 years.
Wait, in general or just among embalmers?
I don't know. It just says that he, in the Eastern District, probably the Eastern District of his town. So
Okay.
probably just in general. He made a fortune during the Civil War embalming the bodies of generals and other officers killed in battle, and spent it in attempting to perfect the embalming fluid, which was designed to practically turn bodies into stone.
This is wild. Like, he made his fortune embalming generals during the Civil War and then spent it all on like mad science tree. Like, what?
But they absolved him of any crimes because he embalmed President Lincoln, so he wasn't a weirdo.
Still had a dead body of a random girl in his basement.
Yeah.
It's fine. He embalmed the president.
In 1895, he announced that he had at last produced a fluid that would petrify bodies. Secrets died with him, they put in all capital letters. He had for several years on exhibition in his store in Broadway near A Street in Williamsburg what was reported to be the arm of a young woman, thus treated, but which skeptical passerbys regarded as a piece of statuary.
I like how they used that really big "secret died with him" in huge bold
Right.
letters, and then had to condense the rest of the article into these tiny,
They
unreadable
did.
letters.
He had also designed a casket made wholly of glass and lighted by electricity, for which he made the claim that it would preserve a body for centuries, the corpse retaining a lifelike appearance. The secret of the embalming fluid that would turn the body to stone, Dr. Holmes never divulged, and it died with him.
You know, it's interesting throughout like a lot of weird embalmers in history. There's always that like thing of the secret died with him, or this embalmer would not say how he did it. Like Ava Perón, that's one of them. Like, she looked like perfect and she laid in state for so long and her body was stolen, and like her embalmer wouldn't tell anybody how he did it. And it's like, what's with all these secrets in the embalming community, and they're like taking it to the grave? Like, what's the point? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't get it either. And also, how much better do we need embalming to be?
Why do
So-
like that's what I was why do we
Yeah.
need that? Like, what is this for? I think I have a theory. I bet she was from someone from a poor family who couldn't afford to bury her.
Mm.
And he was like, I'll take care of her. I am noted embalmer. I embalmed the president, so I'm going to do a great job. And they were just kind of like, okay. And then he just like kept her in his basement.
But
Like-
wouldn't there be questions like, "Hey, when can we get that body back?" Or to
Well,
bury?
that's the thing. It would have to be like a poor family who had no like say in anything. It was like, your word against noted embalmer.
Mm.
Again, I embalmed the president. Why would I ever do that? These poor people are crazy. Like, that's the only
True.
thing I can think of why a 12-year-old body wouldn't be missing
Yeah,
ever.
I don't
or it
like
was foul play.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
that the face was well preserved and the rest of the body was crumbling. That's weird. I don't like that.
That poses a lot of questions I don't want to ask.
Yeah, and I think a lot more secrets died with him than just what he was using for embalming fluid.
Oh,
if
for
he's
sure.
keeping arms in his window and bodies in his basement. But he wasn't a weirdo because he embalmed the president in general.
He wasn't. Well, does that mean like Lincoln's looking good in there? Like, has anyone
Mm.
cracked him open?
we
recently?
should.
Let's do
If
it.
enough people join the Patreon, we will dig up President Lincoln and see how well he has been preserved. So you're gonna have to join the $20 tier for that and be a member for quite a while, and we'll give you guys the results on that one.
And then whoever has the most bingo winners all year will autograph the body and mail it to you.
We will autograph pieces of President Lincoln and send it to you.
Oh my god.
But because we're noted podcasters, no one will think
Noted,
it's
yeah.
weird.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's get into another ghost story.
Wait, someone said they did open Lincoln's grave and it's just his head. Is that true? Are you just say is that true?
I don't know. That might be worthy of a quick Google.
Right?
Well, while you look that up, I'll start our next ghost
Yes.
story. And this is the ghost of Mary Crumb from 1902.
Oh, that's such a 1902 name.
Isn't it?
Mary
Like it's
Crumb,
it's
right?
definitely in a Sherlock Holmes book.
Yes.
Like who killed Mary Crumb or something like that.
Yeah.
Ghost of murdered girl takes sleigh ride with farmer at midnight. Washington, Pennsylvania, February 19th, 1902. The residents of Rich Hill Township, this county, and Alapo Township, Greene County, have been okay, I understand that it's a local newspaper, but just saying this county, like,
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. I noted that too. Like, and here, where
Yeah.
we are right now in this paper. Yeah.
and Alapo Township and Greene County have been thrown into a state of great excitement as a result of the alleged reappearance of a ghost in the community. The story is that more than half a century ago, Mary Crumb, a young girl of the neighborhood, was murdered by a jealous lover in a lonely hollow, which has ever since been known as Lonesome Hollow. It was not known how the murder was done, but marks on the girl's face indicated that her skull had been crushed by her lover's boot heel. Sounds like they figured it out if they don't know how it's been done and they just give you that whole definition of what happened.
Right? Yeah, that sounds like they pretty much had it. Yeah.
Did she drown? It looks like someone kicked her head. Soon after the commission of the murder, the girl's spirit appeared near the spot where she met death. The apparition appeared at intervals for more than 40 years. The last seen of the ghost was 10 years ago, and residents came to believe that they were to be troubled by its appearance no longer. Within a few days, however, it is claimed that the spirit is again abroad, and many have testified to having seen it. A prominent farmer claims that as he was returning home at midnight, the apparition perched on the runner of his sleigh and rode for a considerable distance. He attempted to strike it, but his fists encountered nothing but empty air. As he neared the lonely hollow, the ghost disappeared into the woods, exclaiming as it went, "He crushed me with his boot heel." So,
Okay. Why would you
lots to
try to
unpack
hit
there.
it? Like, I don't know. My first reaction, I don't think my first instinct wouldn't be to try to hit the ghost on my sleigh.
Well,
But
I think if it's an instantaneous action, it's late at night, it's dark, it's obvious, it's
it's true.
1902. You don't really know what's getting on your sleigh. I'm sure there's, sleigh
Mhm.
robberies. Is it something we don't think about is all the sleigh robberies that were happening
Sleigh robbery.
in Pennsylvania in 1902. But that's probably what, like, 'cause
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
your first inclination probably isn't this is a ghost. But when your hand goes through their entire body, then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a ghost. Now I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And now you're just terrified. And I
Oof.
wonder if the horses were reacting, because I assume
Oh.
it was sleigh, it's a sleigh. I'm
Yeah.
assuming horses are pulling this. And if he was getting any reaction from the animals, if they were, a little out of control, it doesn't say that in the article.
Yeah, that'd be
And
interesting to know though.
And another thing that I find really interesting in this article is this is something we talk about when we go do investigations and stuff, is you never know when activity is gonna happen, and you never know, like, there's no, like, time is relative to ghosts. So
Mhm.
this spirit theoretically lay dormant for 40 years, or at
Mhm.
least there wasn't a sighting for 40 years. Doesn't mean that it was dormant. It just picked up activity again after 40 years. So it doesn't, just because you go somewhere doesn't
Mhm.
mean that there's no activity. One of my favorite comments that we got lately was somebody went to the Hinsdale house after we had gone, and they didn't even stay overnight. They went for the hour tour, and they left a comment on our page afterwards.
Mhm.
I went there for the tour and it's not haunted. Okay, debunked, I guess, at that point, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, if that's the case, then
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you were there for an hour and nothing happened. So all these other reports have to be bogus. So this shows you that sometimes you might not see this ghost for 40 years.
Yeah, they should have waited at least 40 years before they commented that.
Yeah. And as we know, after 40 years, you're useless, as we've learned tonight.
That's right. Be
Yeah,
chloroformed.
that's true. You have to choose retirement or chloroform. So
Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. But I found this one very eerie, riding a sleigh around midnight and just the spirit.
oh yeah.
And then
It's very atmospheric.
it actually speaks that he
Yeah.
crushed me with his boot heel is not something I want to see or hear from a ghost.
Yeah, that's a brutal fucking way to die. Like that's brutal. Like
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah. Not a fun
Seriously.
one.
You know what we don't do anymore either, and that was in this article, is like someone dies, like she died in this area, so they like renamed it like unofficially Lonesome Hollow. And I feel like that's very old timey. Like, ooh, this woman died over there, so we renamed it like Lover's End. And like no one does that. If someone's murdered, we don't really I can't imagine the discourse if that were to happen.
Yeah. All right. Let's
Well, hang on. Quick update on the embalmed body of Abraham Lincoln. So Savannah did update her, that she was in chat was joking, and that the head, she was referencing the girl's body. Her face was well preserved, but so therefore it would just be Lincoln's head.
So
but,
that means we still have to go find out for ourselves.
Well, so I had already started Googling before she had made the correction. And they actually did exhume his body in 1901 and crack the coffin open just to see what was up. And they said he looked like just exactly like himself still. Like he was pretty well preserved. He said his skin was like bronze, but he still had the mole and everything was pretty much the same, except that he had no eyebrows, which is a weird detail.
So I got to do it.
That's interesting.
You got to go give him his checkup.
That's right.
That happened to one of Henry VIII's wives. I can't remember which one of the Catherines, I think. But it was in like the 1800s. Some drunk guys accidentally like cracked her open, and she still looked like, they said she looked exactly like perfect because it was a lead-lined coffin. But by the time other people came, the air rushing in just like super like quickly decomposed her. But it was like, oh my God, like that would have been this from the 1500s, and
That's
she
crazy.
still looked like that would have been crazy. Like I wish they had like a fucking camera at the time or something, anything, you know.
That
just some
cool.
drunk guys though. So
my next question is, how do you accidentally crack the coffin open?
You know,
well, it's like that story in the Edinburgh whatever there, where the guy accidentally fell through the grate and landed inside a tomb and crashed through the coffin.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
he
was running out. He freaked out and was running, but the body was like attached to him, so he thought he was being attacked by a zombie.
All right. Do you guys want to talk about? You guys want to talk about a wedding?
Yep.
Yes.
A wedding in 1895.
Always.
All right. This is titled "Married in the Presence of a Corpse." Standing by the corpse of a man who had been murdered, Mr. Louis Dornack and Miss Margaret Gore, great last name, were married at Quincy, Florida. A coroner's inquest was being held when proceedings were interrupted by the entrance of Mr. Dornack and Miss Gore, who begged Coroner Pittman to marry them immediately. The coroner had been showing the jury the wound in the murdered man's breast, and his hands were bloody.
Can this wait?
What the fuck is happening right now? like
they do say, you know, like something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and so sure this counts for like a couple of them.
Yeah,
so.
blue face, you know,
blue face, old, you know,
a new circumstance.
A new circumstance, yeah.
He suggested a more appropriate place for the ceremony, but Mr. Dornick explained that Miss Gore's father was in pursuit and that delay would be dangerous. Accordingly, Coroner Pittman hastily said the words that made the couple one. As the groom handed the marriage license to the coroner, the blood on the fingers of the latter made a stain on the document. Dude, I want this marriage certificate.
Yeah, what a metal marriage license. Holy shit. Like, yes.
The bride did not seem affected by the morgue-like surroundings. She's the daughter of a wealthy cigar manufacturer, and the groom is one of her father's employees.
Ooh, scandal.
This is everything. Like this is like we could build a movie around this and this be the third act.
So it's apparent that the father would not have approved of the employee marrying his daughter, so they had to rush and get the marriage quickly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Mm.
Yes.
Married in a hurry. Well,
but you get them. It's got to still be somewhere, right? Like somebody had to preserve this.
It has to be.
A bloody fingerprint on your marriage certificate. That's probably a good omen.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like the sealed in blood. Our marriage was sealed in blood. Something. Or a curse. I don't know. Either way. I wonder what happened with them.
We might have to do some, 23andMe or some family tree lookups and do an update. And
was your grandfather a famous cigar manufacturer?
Yes. And did his daughter marry this guy? And we can look up.
And I wonder if that same coroner then had to inspect the groom's murdered corpse soon thereafter.
There's a jury there and everything. It's like this whole thing going on.
It's honestly, it's just rude. It's rude is what it is. It's rude.
It is. It's
entitled socialite. You can tell she's rich because she's like, I want it now.
Yeah. I just cannot wait.
Yeah.
All right. We have two more stories. We're going to do a ghost story. Then we're going to end on, I'm not even going to say more. We're just going to end on another story afterwards.
Sounds good.
This one is from 1911, titled Ghost in New Jersey Town. Apparition keeps nervous residents home at night. Spectre described as boy with limp head. Beverly, New Jersey.
Limp head?
Limp head?
Not a limp neck.
Not a limp neck.
Head?
Limp head.
Okay.
Beverly, New Jersey. Bridgeport, the home of witch lore and ghost scares, had another sensation which the residents take seriously, and after nightfall, the streets are deserted. How many of these ghost stories have we heard where people were actually so frightened that they weren't going out of their houses at night?
A lot of those old ones. Yeah.
John Johnson, terrible name. You should not. You don't name your kid John Johnson. It's very mean. And a party of friends. I don't believe someone named John Johnson has friends. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting the story. Passing what is known as the Paxson Pits a few nights ago, were confronted by a dwarf, which they declared climbed out on a pit. For a minute, it lingered, and then giving a screech, vanished into the woods.
What does climbed out on a pit mean?
I thought maybe that it was supposed to say out of a pit. Yeah. And you know how sometimes they would just leave the typos because they couldn't fix them?
Yeah.
So I think it meant climbed out of a pit.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
For a minute it lingered, and then giving a screech, vanished into the woods. Other witnesses, farmers of unquestionable veracity, substantiate Johnson's story. The old residents say that years ago, a reserved man who lived on the outskirts of the village and whose name was never learned, as the family would not mingle with the villagers, had a deformed son. The man was driving along the country road when the carriage was supposed to have overturned, and the child fell into the pit and broke his neck. The version of the accident was accepted, but wild rumors were afloat at the time. Those who have seen the specter describe it as a boy whose head seems to hang limp upon his chest.
Oh.
Which is a very
so it would be a limp neck.
Yeah, but
gotcha. Creepy. I have a question.
Sure.
What are farmers known for their unquestionable veracity?
It's like unquestionable.
Yeah, that was very noted embalmer for me. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. I think a
If you
farmer
had a
wrote this
job, you
article.
couldn't lie back then, apparently.
Yeah, nobody lied.
Yeah.
It's
Only women. Women.
Women.
They lie.
when they were allowed to speak, of course.
Yeah.
This next story is very, very weird. And we're just gonna get through it. We're just gonna get through
Okay.
it because I have a lot of questions. This is from 1878, and it starts with the words. God, I don't know if I can say this. Unconscious snake swallower.
Snake swallower?
Yep.
Okay.
Recently, Farmer Potts of Berks County was the victim of a terrible adventure. Becoming drowsy, he laid under a tree, and while sleeping, a snake
Oh no.
about 19 inches in length and of a green color darted into his open mouth and descended into his stomach.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
After he awoke, he experienced a peculiar and sickening sensation.
No way. The snake, a 19-inch snake just slithered into his mouth and he woke up later.
Just kept going, man. The snake was just like, this seems like the right way to go. Just
Well,
kept
no, it's
moving.
just he didn't wake up. It's because the way they worded it, he woke up and was like, "Oh, my stomach feels weird," which means
He was drowsy, Dave.
ingested an entire snake.
He was drunk, wasn't he? He was
Must have
sleeping
been.
under a tree and a snake got in his mouth. That's more than drowsy. Come on.
Yeah.
After he awoke, he experienced a peculiar and sickening sensation, at times frothed at the mouth, and his eyes almost started from their sockets, which is a sentence that I don't understand. A
No, that makes sense.
physician pressed his ear to Potts's breast and
Did you hear hissing?
and distinctly heard the movements of the reptile. The victim was required to inhale the steam of boiled milk, which
Oh.
produced a strangling sensation. The snake
What?
having yeah,
To him or the snake?
To
The snake, I
him.
hope.
well, he would have to inhale it so that the snake could inhale it.
Yeah.
So did it make him like cough? Like boiled milk?
Yeah, sounds awful.
Okay.
The
Sound
snake,
awful.
having made an unsuccessful attempt to leave the stomach,
Uh-huh.
Potts was then led under a shed roof and put in a wagon. A strong rope was tied to a beam. They're just trying shit at this point. They don't know what the fuck to do. A strong rope was tied to a beam and securely wrapped around the legs of the sufferer.
What?
The wagon was then pulled away, and Potts was left dangling head down. Can everyone see what's
They
going
got
on
like
here?
halfway to drawing and quartering him to get this snake out. Like,
So I think they're just trying to suspend him upside down, hoping that gravity will solve this problem.
for sure, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
While in this position, he again inhaled the steam of boiling milk.
This doctor is like boiled milk is where it's at.
I like to think that this doctor is just prescribing boiled milk for every
For like
ailment
everything.
that
Yeah.
people have. It's like, you know what you got to do? You got to boil some milk. Smell it. The patient's tongue protruded and his eyes started. The thick steam flowed into his throat, and the sufferer made a noise as if choking. Then, quick as thought, the doctor saw a head protrude. In seizing
God.
it with his naked fingers, he quickly pulled, and the reptile was dashed into an empty bucket. In a few seconds, Potts was lying on the ground, nearly dead. I wonder why.
Just
He
give
was-
him some boiled milk. He'll be fine.
No, this is what they give him, Shelby. He was given some whiskey and water and was rubbed with coarse toweling, and finally he seemed to be resting easy. His eyes were bloodshot, and every vein seemed bulged and ready to burst. He was carried into the house and put to bed, and light food was administered. His throat was very sore, but still he was thankful when he was told that the reptile had been removed. He is slowly recovering.
That's the most insane story that we've
There's
covered.
no way he was just asleep and this snake slithered into down his throat. Like, there's just no way. Either he was doing something kinky or he was drunk and he was like fully passed out, like dead to the world, passed out. Like, there's just no way you're just like, oh, I'm just drowsy. I'm taking a little nap under a tree. Like, there's just absolutely no way. Like,
Like, I know as a doctor, this is not a situation you're coming across like ever. And you're not trained for this.
no.
I get it. But we have to have better solutions than like, have we tried the boiled milk yet? Let's try that first. Oh, that's not working. Let's hang him upside down and try the boiled milk again.
To be fair, it worked.
It did. That is true.
I mean, I guess
Yes, we have found the solution, right?
There it is. And they got it on the second try.
Yeah.
My favorite is the remedies for after the snake's removed, where they're like, they gave him whiskey and water and rubbed him with coarse towels.
Oh yeah, that was an old timey thing. They thought it would like bring your like blood to the surface and get your like blood going, and it was this old thing. They still do it in a way today. If you've ever heard of dry brushing, it's like a wellness thing and it's like a beauty thing, and you like rub this like dry coarse brush all over your skin, and it like brings the blood to the surface, and it's this whole thing. Yeah,
I'm gonna pass. I'm just gonna digest the snake at that point. I'm just gonna let that thing linger in the old stomach. How did the snake survive this, by the way?
yeah.
I know, right? You'd think. I
Like
mean, you'd think the
stomach
problem could be
acid.
solved. Just wait a few minutes. It's going to suffocate.
That's what I was
Can't
thinking.
breathe.
Like maybe at this point, sir, you've just eaten a snake at this point, and we
Right.
just have to wait. You know,
Yeah.
There's
maybe it's because it was moving around. He like freaked out and needed it out. I don't know. Did he try throwing up? Like, it doesn't sound like throwing up was even considered. Like,
well, if you
Yeah.
try to stick your fingers down your throat, the snake's just gonna bite him, Shelby. So
but then the doctor could reach in with his naked finger and
his naked
grab the
fingers.
snake.
Yeah,
I keep trying to stick my fingers down my throat, but the snake keeps tickling my fingers with his tongue.
yeah. I was reading this one and I had to read it like 4 times because I was like, what is happening in this story? And I think you're right, Shelby. I don't think you just lay there and a 19-inch snake just
No.
goes into your mouth and you just don't wake up.
Mm-mm.
Like, he might have been over 60 and chloroforming himself, maybe. That's the only way.
You know what? I bet he was in his chloroform phase, his chloroform era. So
Yeah.
that could be it.
I mean, because what else are we doing here? That is, man, I just don't know. But I thought that would be a fun one to end this episode of Haunted Headlines on,
Yeah.
because I don't know if we'll ever top that wildness. Although every time we do this, there's some wild ass stories. Even this one, the wedding is
The
wild.
wedding,
Wedding is wild. Yeah.
the noted embalmer is still
The
sticking
noted
with me. That just
yeah.
has a child in his basement that no one discovered for a year and a half. Just
It's just
there.
fine. It's
Yeah.
it's Dr. Holmes. It's fine. And as we know, all Dr. Holmes have been just of upright stature in the history of mankind.
yeah.
H.H. Holmes wasn't a thing or anything like that. So yeah, these were some crazy stories, some scary ones. The minor ghost was especially terrifying.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
I love doing these because I love seeing all the different stories of these tales that they write in the newspaper back in the 18 and early 1900s.
I love it too.
It's
Mhm.
always so wild to see, and seeing some of the same stuff that happens
Yeah.
today with the ghost as well. Dave, we're gonna get into some Patreon names in a second, but I want to remind everyone that you are eligible to win the Furby. Oh, Dave, while I read reviews, why don't you pull up a picture of the long-legged Furby?
Oh yeah, I want to see it.
Because Shelby wants to see what we're giving away. And after I read the reviews, we'll show her that. The first review that I have here is from, wait for it, Guinness 1861, 5-star review titled Outstanding. Interesting and entertaining, great show and extremely enjoyable content. As a professional historian, shows like this would typically be off limits, but HTGS is different. It's researched and factual. I guess theoretically everything I read is factual based on the newspaper articles we just did. The hosts do a great job with banter and stories, truly enjoyable. Keep up the great work. Cheers. And I have one more from Countess de Monet. Please do not knock your score down if I said your name wrong. Titled Hauntingly Hilarious. I discovered this podcast while listening to Brent's Paranormal Portal. The hometown crew were so funny on that show and had such great camaraderie that I assumed they had their own TV show. They definitely have the personalities for it. I worked my way through the majority of their episodes and finally learned the backstories and caught the inside jokes and love every minute. There is something very comforting and familiar about the show, as if you're sitting with friends in a tavern, having a drink, and then someone starts telling a ghost story. I love it and hope it goes on forever. I love the way the guys are interactive with the audience. I've never laughed so hard listening to a podcast, especially one about ghosts. My favorite are the cursed possession episodes when they're searching through eBay listings. They're hilarious. Give the show a try and will quickly become a favorite. Thanks, guys, for keeping me company while I work. And
here's one.
Dave has just pulled up one of our cursed objects that we found, which is a Furby with long legs.
And my God. That was not what I was picturing at all.
So Shelby, we bought 5 of these things, and we are
oh my God.
We are autographing them and sending them out to people weekly.
The legs are so muscular.
I know. They had a couple with Barbie legs too, which is pretty funny.
Yes. So that is the long leg Furby. Before we get into the Patreon name, Shelby, can you tell people about your show for those that are unfamiliar? And I'm wearing my Scary to Sleep shirt.
Oh my God. That's one of the OG ones too. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
So yeah, my show is Scary to Sleep. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, obviously, but I read horror fiction, but I also do true horror episodes. I just had a true horror one last week, if you'd like to check that out. So yeah, it's Scary to Sleep. You can find it everywhere at Scare You to Sleep. I also am I'm a regular now on the Bloody Disgusting podcast, if you want to check that out. And that is all we talk about: horror movies and up and coming horror news and all that. So yeah.
Very cool. Congratulations on getting onto that show as well.
Thank you.
As part of the Bloody Disgusting family. Yes. All right, Shelby, it's time for our Patreon names, which are always,
I love this part.
which are always great.
Did we get a hit on bingo, or it was kind of a weird episode because we didn't cover a location? So
yes,
I didn't hit the.
I was leaving that up to the mods to take care of because I had too much other things going on. So mods, if there was a bingo hit, please take care of that. Dave, did you make sure that you filtered this properly to active members?
Yes, I did, and yeah, I will read these. I was surprised we didn't get any ghost pirate haunted headline stories.
Oh,
that would have been cool if there's some ghost pirates or like Al Capone or something, you know. Trying to help the bingo people along. Anyways. All right, for our Church of Bucky McHat elders, we have Ryan F, Justin W, J Gooch 725, Jennifer A, Jeremy M, Casey W, Brendina 77, Kathy Ferguson, I Love Brockton Bruisers Roller Derby, Ghost Nurse JP, Dave has a new kangaroo onesie with a bottom flap, West Virginia coal miner, Tess, I finally changed my name. Are you happy, Rob? Kate and Steve M, Sharon V, Glitter Tees, Cami from Washington, Kelly C, Jennifer P, Nick. Liz Young, Rob's peculiar love of hot dog ends.
I don't love hot dog ends. Hot dog ends are gross.
Inspires Gaming, Allison V, Robert H, Anna C, Jeannie, almost ready for chloroform, Mom and Pops W, Papa Squatch, Lisa J, Oubliette A Sketch, and that is the VIP now We'll do the next one. I'm not as good as Jesse at this.
Which
so
is the Warrens Wards.
The Warrens Wards. West Mass is the best part of Massachusetts. Degenerate gambler, voodoo ghost who shouldn't have hit on 19. Jamie E, Nick M, T-Cat, Whisper. Jeremy M, Beth C, Shawners, Rachel G, Sarah B, Her Lady Snake Tickles, Sloshed and Oshkosh. Julie Gooley, Eugene M, Arcade Hunters, Colby, Kath Q, DC, Chris Connolly, LBPS founder, Next HTGS guest, the other Rachel B, Sarah C, Zeta Chimera, Janice Gray. I like how I abbreviate most of the last names, but every once in a while one will just slip out.
You just say the whole name. Yeah.
I could just say the whole name.
Give out their
Vampire-
social while you're at it.
Fire Sandpaper on Rob's Toes, the reincarnation of Isaac Fisher Jr., Springfield, Vermont. Snake Oil Pusher, Steph A, Seth on guitar, Human Soup.
Human Soup.
Love
As Dave's pulling up the next one, I want to remind our $10 and $20 members that every month you get a special episode, and the last one was of the Flying Dutchman. So if you go on Patreon, you get access to that. And if you're looking for that, you can join the $10 and $20 tier, and we have a new one coming out this month very shortly.
Yes. All right, and on to the Ghost Pirate Mafia. D, the Lobster Dancing, Banana Land Dinosaur Monster, Susan Cavens, Just Ghostly, Witchy Kitty 416, Deb 62, Karen Lean, Michael M. Happy last 2 days in your 30s, Rob. Have a slurp hole ready for some Beanie Weenies Thursday. Amber Raven, Brent C, Mrs. Nardozzi, Shane O'Mac, Joe Shea, Trevor Swoverland, Amanda H, Christina Stragus, Kate Cropley, Kelly Cromer, bloop, Crazy Legs. Cowboys are 5-8 tanking season.
Yeah, need to update that.
Gotta update that.
Mother
McTibbles tucking her herd of ghost children into Rob's bed. Sweet dreams, Rob. Just call me Bree. Miss Macabre. Michelle Naroku, Cold Warrior, The Triumphant Return of Youngstown Pizza, D from H-Town, Meta A. Oh, she just changed it to Meta A. There's no difficult Dutch word for me to pronounce.
The one time
One
that you're the one doing it.
Monster Mom 04, Wicked Alley, Dark Snark. Did you know that your hand is just a fork covered in skin? Morgan Swain. Applehead Santa definitely sees you when you are sleeping. Wayne Christie. Nobody says anything nice about Dave. That's kind of nice.
Good reason.
Crystal Quinn, aka Not a Rob fan. Thick Boy Freddy's baby mama was definitely yeeted. Alicia Espinoza. The recently departed Thick Ghost aggressively yeeted the semi-newly rebuilt Virginia Street Bridge. 'Twas that devil woman. Swanee. Tonight on the show, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Sam from Nepal, Joe R, Al Capone, Huggy Bear, Count Orlok, aka Dr. Robotnik, Solar Flare, Mariah M, Kirley J, Rachel B, Anthony. Hey Rob, who is your God's honest pick to win the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match? T.
Feels like Cena, but I want to see Punk win it.
Cool. Cody G, Brandon Whitmer, Hooply Booply, Bridge Witch, and Dave Wilkins.
Which is not actually Dave Wilkins, which is always the best part of that
It
name.
is not. It is somebody else entirely.
Well,
if you would like to be part of this list of crazy, absolutely insane people, it'll cost you as little as $3 to do so, and you get unlimited access to all of our bonus content and all that cool stuff that Jesse always says. So
you get early access to our side content every month. You get discount codes for the merch store. If you're the $10 tier, you get the special episodes. There's just so much that you can do. Special sections of the Discord. Shelby, thank you so much for joining us tonight, filling in on such short notice.
Thank you for having me again. I missed this show, so thank you.
Anytime you want to come on, you are more than welcome. We will catch you guys later. We're doing a small investigation this week on Friday. So if you're part of our socials, be on the lookout for that. We might go live for a little bit. We're going to be up in Kennebunkport, Maine, doing a small little investigation. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, we will
almost certainly not how you pronounce that town name, but that's cool.
Kennebunkport?
Kennebunkport.
It's what I said.
You said Kenny. It's Kenna.
You know what, Dave? Eat a dick.